The best products reduce friction across roles, be managers, project managers, site teams, consultants, owners, etc. If only the technical champion loves it, adoption will always be limited. So you don't want that. You want to be able to, for everyone to adopt what you have. For me, that's by far the most important part. Especially coming from software. I've been the software my whole life. It's always been adoption. That's the ultimate KPI.
Hi, just a quick one. If you're enjoying the podcast, don't forget to subscribe or follow us on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube. It really helps us share practical knowledge with more people. And if you want deeper insights, you can also subscribe to our newsletter at digitalconstructionpodcast.com. All right, let's jump in. Hi, Gus. Welcome to the Digital Construction Podcast.
Hey, Andrea. How are you?
So, very good, very good. So today I'm excited to speak with Gustave de Bardeci. So we'll call him Gus for reference. So he is originally from Argentina, but he spent 11 years in Australia. And the reason why I'm excited about this conversation, one is because he's a great guy, and also because he spent his career on the sales side of construction and software, which is one of these aspects that we don't cover much, it's very exciting now to be able to learn more from Gus. So at the moment he works at Revizto, and but previously he worked at Aconex, so software and platform we're all familiar with. He has also worked at NBS, National Building Specification. It's a company in the UK. It's very exciting to speak to you, Gus. But before we start, there is a question I ask everyone because I think it's a good opportunity to learn a lot from other people like you. And what is the best piece of advice you've ever received in your career?
There's so many. So there are a lot of different phrases that are very common within sales environment. I'm pretty sure that you're familiar with most of them. You know, you have 2 ears and one mouth for a reason, or you are only as good as your last quarter. That was so true. But there was one that actually stood with me over the years, and it was around earn the right to speak. So before you can sell anything, you have to understand your customer. And when you further develop your career, you understand that in sales, credibility is the only sustainable advantage that you're ever going to have. So from a customer perspective is prove to me that you're worth my time. So that one was very important for me.
Yeah, that's very valid. And I think it can be used by other disciplines as well, not just sales.
100%.
And I would like to focus on your career and how you ended up doing what you're doing to now. Can you please walk us through the path that you took from your first professional roles to where you are today, Revizto? We already mentioned you are from Argentina. But yeah, let us know, how did you get there?
That's a long journey. As you said, I started my career has been in Argentina, primarily in Latin American. And speaking about my first professional role, I would say Oracle was an inflection point in my life, and the first software company that I worked for. And that was where everything started, really. I sold hardware and services afterwards as well, but the software's always been my cup of tea. And I was involved more into enterprise software, Oracle and IBM primarily, serving very different verticals, FMCG, financial services, utilities, telecommunications, etc. But it wasn't until I landed here in Australia about, as you said, 11 years ago, that I got the exposure to the construction industry. To be honest, I didn't plan to end up in construction tech. I applied for my PR. The visa was granted a year later, and we just moved to Australia. The funny part is that we'd never been to Australia before moving to Australia, so I didn't know what to expect. But that was it. We had no family here. I didn't have a job and not much in my bank account either. But I was very lucky enough to be recruited by a company called Aconex. Obviously I wasn't familiar with them at all at the time. And my manager, Margaret, not only took a leap of faith with me, but she taught me a lot. Aconex was a fantastic school for me. And then it just, I fell in love with the industry. And I've been very lucky because I obviously was construction at the very beginning. Then I moved to operations, and then I moved to design. So you can say that I have a holistic approach to the whole life cycle of a project.
Nice. And when you look back at the skills that brought you into your first sales role, which one turned out to be useful?
Curiosity for sure. Definitely resilience, especially at the very beginning. Relationship building is a big one for me. And I guess that the ability to work with different levels of stakeholders, those are, I would say, those are the ones that are more important for me. Sorry, then did you say unlearn?
Yeah, possibly even learn.
Yeah. And I would be more inclined to say that I kind of, put them aside. There were a lot of different skills that you learn in certain markets or in certain industries that are not applicable to others. So I had to essentially unlearn the idea that knowing the product well is enough. In construction you need to understand the customer's processes, the project context, the politics, and sometimes the history of failed implementations before you can be really useful to them.
Yeah, that's great. And a while ago, when we had the first conversation, planning for this podcast, you've been very candid saying that starting in a role like a sales role coming from Argentina, so you have to deal with the language barrier, and that was hard. Can you share with us what that experience actually feel like and what kept you going? Because other people may have decided to just give up, but you continued and you've been successful. So how was that part of your story?
We can have a whole episode just about this part, but I'll try to summarize. And yeah, it was very hard at the very beginning. I won't lie. I won't sugarcoat it. And it wasn't only about the language, honestly. Australia is a multicultural country. So, your ears need to adjust to accents as well. I don't know, I remember, having conversations over the phone with people that were, regional Victoria and the middle of nowhere on a mobile. And they had thick accents, and I wasn't able to understand a word they were saying. So that kind of thing. So they were very, very rough at the very beginning. Honestly, it was frustrating, especially in sales, where communication is the tool that you use, and that can really affect your confidence. Honestly, I needed to provide for my family, so I needed to sell, but I cannot sell if I don't express myself correctly. That puts a lot of pressure on your shoulders. So when you can rely on charm or fluency, you fall back on preparation and listening. So it really forced me to become a better listener and intentional above all. I had to prepare better, ask clearer questions, and make sure I understood the customer properly. Once you kind of sort out those bumps, it gets way easier for sure.
Yeah, and if you think about somebody or maybe Gus from many years ago, or somebody in that position today, right? So somebody that is trying to start a customer-facing role or career today that is working in a language that is not their first language, what would you tell them?
Not to confuse accent with ability, and do not wait until your English or any second language for that matter is perfect before you put yourself forward. People respect someone who shows up prepared and genuine above all, over someone that sounds confident but says nothing. Your accent is not your weakness. The effort that you're putting in, that is your strength.
Yeah, this is great, and I'm sure people can resonate with that. Even like myself, coming from Italy, I faced similar challenges, and I ended up improving my technical skills to balance that. So it's similar story. When the language is not your strength, you focus on preparation or technical ability.
Absolutely. Obviously, you prepare it in a totally different way, and even you anticipate the questions that they might ask you, and that sort of things. So obviously, you are more prepared. That's what I was saying. You are more intentional on how you do it, as a consequence. But I guess it's great in the end, because you need the discipline in order to achieve what you need to.
Definitely. And at the moment you work at Revizto, so many listeners will be familiar with Revizto. We probably all know what it is. And but I think what people probably don't know is what a week in your role looks like. Can you share with us what a typical week at Revizto in your role actually looks like, and how does that compare with what people imagine sales professionals spend their day doing?
Okay. I guess in a way it's not very different from any other sales role in the market. A real week is a mix of prospecting, inbound, outbound calls, customer meetings, product conversations, follow-ups, partner discussions if you are working with indirect channels, and a lot of prioritization. People often see the meeting or the demo, but they do not get to see what happens before and after that demo, and then all the preparation or before it, or the internal coordination after it. A lot of the work is connecting the dots, and there's a lot to be done on the research side of things. I guess that's kind of the bigger picture.
And sometimes, like, I understand that Revizto have customers all around the world. It's a global platform. Sometimes it may feel challenging to decide where do you spend your energy, because you're working across multiple regions, multiple customer types. So how do you decide where to channel your energy when everything potentially looks important? I learned early that energy spent on the wrong opportunities is worse than not having an opportunity at all. Qualification is not a gatekeeping exercise. It's but respect for everyone's time, including yours, obviously. So not every single opportunity deserves the same energy, and even if it's every opportunity looks urgent. So that prioritization, I guess it's massive, and I guess you equalize that as you develop your career, and understand the market that you're serving and the people that you're interacting with. Is there a specific part of your job that you find most rewarding in your job in sales or in general Revizto? And are there any parts that you think people that don't work in sales completely miss about that? Yeah,
I guess from a Revizto standpoint, and I guess it's applicable to most products in the market. I guess that the most rewarding part is whenever I get positive feedback from customers using the platform. I personally really believe in the product I sell. So whenever I hear good things coming from them, it is kind of a reassurance that your beliefs are the right ones. So yeah, I would say that's a big one.
And I would like to talk about the reality versus the perception of what sales does in construction tech. And sometimes it's a very interesting industry that has a very complicated relationship with the word sales sometimes, especially in more technical roles. And from your point of view, what do you think that perception gets wrong about the role you actually play?
Good question. I think every industry has actually a complicated understanding of sales, and rightfully so. Sales is often being seen as the people who promise things that the product can deliver, and that is a massive one in the market. Realistically, you have to earn trust in an industry that might be slightly suspicious of you. And I guess in the digital space where we operate, this industry in particular has a bias toward technical roles, engineers, architects, etc. So yeah, I guess that's where it gravitates around that.
And how much of what you do day to day looks more like consulting or problem framing or simply like technical advisory than what people will call traditional selling?
So let me put it simple. So you can close a deal with a BIM manager or a digital leader without understanding the workflow. Good sales in construction tech is much closer to consulting for sure. And you need to understand project delivery, coordination issues, stakeholder behaviors, risk, information flow, adoption, that kind of stuff. If you don't know, if you do not understand the customer reality, you cannot credibly recommend anything. So yeah, that's important.
Yeah. So you think? I just wonder, like, sometimes you are interacting probably with BIM manager or project director or maybe digital leaders, and I just wonder how deep that technical fluency generally needs to go, because you just mentioned like you can probably close a deal regardless, like even if you don't know, but how much can that help you if you understand the problem technically, and how deep do you need to go to be effective in that role?
Absolutely. That's a good one. Especially because the kind of customers that we're touching, it's a niche market, I would say, the digital space. So everyone knows each other, and we have really knowledgeable people, really knowledgeable professionals in this space. But back to your point, you don't need to be a BIM manager, but you need to understand enough to ask intelligent questions and not waste their time. As I said at the very beginning, and the right to speak. So you need to know the language models, drawings, issues, coordinations, RFIs, LODs, the terminology around it, and technical fluency gives you permission to have a strategic conversation. You need just to be credible enough, but you need to know when to involve someone who can talk exactly the same language. I'm very lucky in that aspect. Obviously, I've been having pre-sales or customer success teams. They provide that kind of support, and they are more suitable, in order to potentially discuss the technical stuff with your customers. But yeah, you need to be able to orchestrate all that.
And I think one way to understand what people in your role actually do is try to understand the career progression and how do you progress in a sales role. And for somebody that is outside of sales, the path forward in this career is largely invisible. Like they don't know exactly what this career path look like. But can you share with us what how the progression actually works in construction tech sales, from potentially just being an individual contributor to a leadership role?
For sales in general, at the beginning, I guess progression is often measured by activity, right? And what I mean is a pipeline and close deals. But over time, the bar changes. You are expected to understand the market, build trusted relationships, influence internal teams, help shape plans potentially, and create opportunities that maybe they are not obvious. The best people still hit their numbers, but they also build their reputation, and I guess that's the point. However, for what I have seen in this particular industry, the best progression is not just a title, but networking and relationships for sure.
And I think an important part of this role is incentives, right? So can you share with us what incentives the industry and sales actually rewards, and where do they sometimes pull people in the wrong direction? Because companies are trying probably to progress, but sometimes certain incentives could potentially pull people in the wrong direction. But can you explain to us the incentive system in your?
That's a really big point. I guess that short-term incentive structures can push reps to oversell, or overpromise, or discount to close. That kills retention and poisons the customer relationship in the end. Construction is a long-term industry. If you push something that it's not right for your customer, you're shooting in your own foot. You may win a deal, but you're gonna lose your reputation, and that's your commercial asset in the end. So it's very important to keep an angle on that.
Yeah, and I think it's you touched on this before when you said that reputation is very important, but at the same time you need to hit your numbers as well, because of course that's how you progress and how the business progresses. But when you look across the people you have worked with, how can you tell the difference between somebody who is just simply hitting their numbers versus somebody who is trying to build a reputation in the industry over time? How can you tell the difference between these two people?
I guess that anyone can hit quota once, but the ones who build reputations are the ones who are being called when they change companies. You know what I mean? And that's the real measure in the end. That kind of trust. Quota, gets measured every year, and the reputation compounds over your career. So that is ultimately the most important part. How you measure that.
Yeah, that's a great way to frame it. And we've spoken before about misconception, but if you could pick one that's the main misconception in the industry about salespeople and sales team that is probably persistent in this industry, and is there anything that you wish the industry will finally let go and that you think is not real?
I guess the biggest misconception is that salespeople are there just to negotiate price or push a contract. In reality, a good salesperson will help the customer frame the problem, understand the options, and avoid the bad fit solutions. And obviously, as I said before, you have to be able to connect with the right people. If I know that, my industry consultant knows really a lot about, structural well, I'm going to bring him to the conversation so that they can talk in the same language, and they're going to feel more comfortable in that way. In construction technology, a good vendor relationship would challenge you a little as well. It should not just be someone just saying yes to everything that you ask for. So that is kind of the healthy relationship that you need to have.
Yeah, and I think an interesting aspect here is about the products you sell. So we have people building products all the time, and it's very hard to reach product market fit. Like you build something, you think that people will use it, and I'm very keen to understand your point of view because you are on the other side, right? You are the ultimate evidence that product is actually a good product because you can actually sell it to somebody who is willing to pay. So you've been sitting with hundreds of customers. From your point of view, what generally separate a great construction product from products are just simply noise?
Good question. I would say adoption for sure. Okay, adoption is the ultimate measure there. But how fast can you support them in change management is another part of the product. And what I mean is it has to fit into the way people actually work, not the way software companies imagine they work. But you're not there to impose anything. The best products reduce friction across roles, be managers, project managers, site teams, consultants, owners, etc. If only the technical champion loves it, adoption will always be limited. So you don't want that. You want to be able to, for everyone to adopt what you have. For me, that's by far the most important part. Especially coming from software. I've been the software my whole life. It's always been adoption. That's the ultimate, the ultimate KPI.
Definitely, totally agree. And where do you see most construction software companies still getting something wrong, especially when it comes to how the product feels on the daily basis?
I would say ease of use, by far. A lot of construction software still feels like it was designed just for the technical role in mind and not for the regular, less savvy user. That is where adoption breaks. The daily user experience matters because construction teams are busy, under pressure, under the pump every single day, and often dealing with too many systems already. So you need to simplify that. You need to be able to, with what you have, support that and make their lives easier.
Yeah, and you probably interact a lot with the product team, and I imagine there will be a feedback loop between your team, the sales team, and the product team. How important is this feedback loop, and do you think can actually change the direction of a product, and it just becomes a complaint channel?
No, it is very important. I guess ultimately, if you want to change something, you want to develop something, you need their feedback. As I say all the time, it's great to have the Gartners and the Deloittes, those companies telling where the industry is going. But the important is what the customer ultimately say. You need to hear them. Sales teams hear the market every day, but feedback only become useful when it is a structure. What you were saying. Otherwise, it becomes noise. The best feedback loop separates one-off company complaints, from repeated patterns, and then the product team can act on what really matters in that way. I guess this is why it's a best practice to involve your customer success team or industry consultants in order to collect these feedbacks. They are constantly talking to customer and better suited to translate afterwards to the development teams.
And if we change gear and shift and think about AI, because it's a big, we all been hit by it. Yeah, we all been hit by AI, and I think it's an opportunity for us to discuss if this is a genuine shift in the industry or if we are still like business as usual. I just wanted to ask you, like, if you see AI generally changing how your team sells, or still just mostly happening PowerPoint slides rather than actual workflows?
So it's a tricky question because it has so many things coming every single day. AI is definitely changing parts of the sales workflow, especially the research component, account planning, summarizing information, writing drafts, preparing your conversations, that sort of things. But I don't think it replaces the human part of the construction sales. If that makes sense. If anything, it makes the human part more important as a consequence, because everyone will have access to similar information. The difference will be who can build trust, ask better questions, and understand the customer context in the end. I guess that is the gap that I see. But it's getting better.
Yeah, I think a way to measure this is maybe trying to focus on what the customers are asking you about AI today that they weren't asking you maybe 1 year ago or 2 years ago. Have you noted any shifts in the conversation from what you were talking about with customer 1 year ago, 2 years ago versus today, or is still the same?
Let's say a year ago, many AI conversations were broad and theoretical, right? Now customers are asking more practical questions. How will this improve my workflows, or reduce admin, or support my decisions, or help teams manage project information? They are less, I would say, impressed by the word AI and more interested in whether it solves something real. Again, as AI evolves, also our customers are evolving. So yeah, but it's great. I think it's a great push for the industry.
Yeah, and just one more question. Like you mentioned before, that the human touch, the human skills are still very relevant, and AI is probably becoming like embedded in certain workflows, probably in sales team and how the team operates in general. But if you think about the skills that are becoming even more important, and the skills that are probably like commoditized at the moment because of AI, is there anything you can think of which one are becoming more important?
I would say judgment, the trust, still curiosity, commercial empathy, and the ability to simplify complexity. That's those are the ones for me. And commoditized, I would say anything that you could potentially structure, or put it in a frame, as in outreach, research, follow-ups, and surface level product information. Yeah, that's done. That's already there. So it's still, there is a gap. So hopefully we'll still be around for a while.
Definitely. So Gus, we are at the end of the episode, and I think this has been a great episode because you've been able to share with us that sales in construction tech is not just about pitching, but so it's mostly about earning the trust and building a relationship with the customers and supporting them to then provide better solutions. If people want to reach out to you, where can they find you?
I would say LinkedIn is the best way. Happy to share my profile there. But if you look for Gus or Gustavo, it's going to be there for sure.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us on the Digital Construction Podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.